Hello Fast Fam, thanks for tuning in. I'm Craig Lieberman and I've been tinkering on cars since 1980. I've owned more than 40 cars in my life. Some were heroes, some were zeros. But never in my wildest dreams would I ever guess that 3 of my cars would go on to star in a motion picture franchise. My Supra, my GTR, and my Maxima all had starring roles in Universal's Fast and Furious movies. Over the next 3 years, I'd served Universal as a technical advisor. I helped choose the cars, procure the parts, oversee their builds, and support both production and post-production. I have some cool stories to tell about what it was like to build these cars and to work with the cast. I was there, on set, in the production meetings, working on cars, hanging with the actors, and consulting on post-production. So follow along as I tell the stories. Let's jump in. Of all the requests I get for videos, this one has to be near the top of the list. This surprises me given that far more people have seen the movie than ever saw this DVD special feature, even though it was played in some theaters. But since you ask, let's get into it. Let me set the stage for you. It was early 2003 and the first Fast and Furious movie had been out for over a year. The first movie had already been released on VHS and DVD as well. Universal was finishing production of Too Fast, Too Furious, but wanted to set the stage for the new movie, so they came up with the idea of bridging the gap between the two movies. Rather than attach this feature to the front of the Too Fast, Too Furious movie when it came out in theaters, they came up with the idea of re-releasing the first movie on a special edition DVD. This second DVD would be called the Fast and the Furious Tricked Out Edition, and it was released June 3rd, 2003, just 3 days before Too Fast, Too Furious would be released in the theaters. This was a bold move. The added features to this DVD included the tricking out of a hot import car hosted by a Playboy playmate, Daylene Curtis, and me. We'll get to that later. But the real attraction of this DVD was a special segment called the turbocharged Prelude to Too Fast, Too Furious. No, there was no prelude in this feature. The word prelude essentially means an introduction. The plot was simple. It showed how Brian ended up in Miami and how he came to own a Skyline GTR. Before I go on, let me be clear. This car was never owned by Paul Walker. The GTRs we used for this movie were imported by Motorex on a temporary bond because they were the same cars we used in Too Fast, Too Furious. But none of the GTRs used in Too Fast, Too Furious, except for my personal GTR, were federally legal. This feature was written by Keith Dinielli, produced by Chris Palladino, and directed by Philip Atwell, who had produced or directed rap videos with Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Eminem. To my knowledge, it was all filmed in Southern California. The first race is at a place in the greater Los Angeles area. The car dealership where Brian got his GTR was in Palmdale, and the Townhouse Motel is located in Lancaster, California. The 2 cars that got the most screen time in this feature were the red Mitsubishi 3000 GT and the Skyline GTR. The car was rented from a private owner named Ben. The car was actually not a 3000 GT, it was a Dodge Stealth, and it certainly wasn't a Mitsubishi GTO, nor was it a VR4. It was a stock 6-cylinder, naturally aspirated motor. In other words, no turbo. If you still have doubts, Google the phrase Dr. Scrub GTO. Here's the full spec list. As you can see, it's almost completely cosmetic accessories and some audio video. Such a car was pretty representative of the tuner cars back in that era. Mostly show, very little go. Still, it definitely looked the part, and I was very happy that we got a 3000 GT cast in some role since we didn't cast one in the first movie. As the story continues though, Brian's car is discovered in a hotel parking lot, so he has to ditch it. Now, without a car, he hitches a ride with the lovely Minka Kelly, who happens to be the only child of the Aerosmith guitarist Rick Dufay. If you have some free time, you might want to Google Minka's name and her mother's name, Maureen Kelly. It's a great story and a lot of fun. Brian is soon seen at a car dealership which is portrayed to be in New Mexico or Texas somewhere, but that dealership again was actually in Palmdale, California. Somehow he just happens to find this GTR sitting on the lot as if that would happen in real life, and he decides to buy it. The son of the owner is obviously pissed that the car is getting sold, as if he knows what the car is. The car looks different than it did in Too Fast, Too Furious though, as you may have noticed. It has a green tint to it, and if you look closely at the front bumper, you see that there's a nitrous intercooler spray bar in the center opening. That's an indication that it's a leftover car. If you look at the other smaller openings, you'll see what looks like masking tape, and the intercooler spray bar is crooked and the hood fitment is terrible. Those are some important clues. Brian then sprays some paint onto a piece of glass panel which was mounted in front of the camera, and we quickly see the results of his work. We now suddenly see a silver GTR, but if you look closely at the front of that car, you'll see that the intercooler spray bar is straight and that there are 2 metal plates in the smaller openings in the bumper. Those are called toe tabs and are used to tow the car while we do rolling shots. Obviously, these are both cars we used from Too Fast, Too Furious, but which of the GTRs did we use? I get that question a lot. Looking at the VIN list, we see only one car had toe tabs installed. The VIN ended in 3854. This would be the silver GTR we've seen coming out of the spray booth. The other GTR is still a mystery. I suspect it's the number 2 principal car, but it very well could be stunt 1. But unless I get a VIN number, I can't tell for sure. For those who are wondering, the green color was a tint spray that could be washed off. The car had no blue stripes or wing because we removed them to put the green tint spray on. I won't bother talking about the Ferrari in this feature, as it was surely a local rental, and whatever backstory it could have would have no relevance to the making of the movie. There are a couple of goofs to look for, but my favorite is when the camera shows the gauges in the Mitsubishi. That was clearly a GTR's gauges. We didn't film the Mitsubishi's gauges because doing so would require another day of filming so we could get close-up insert shots. And working on a limited budget, it just wasn't going to happen, so we just borrowed footage from the first movie. There's not much else I can tell you because details are hard to come by given the small scale of this production. But I should add this. Making this feature was a stroke of brilliance on Universal's part. Not only did they incentivize people to watch the first movie, they motivated them to watch the second movie by including a free ticket to the second movie right in the DVD package. Despite the creative marketing though, the absence of Vin Diesel and the other actors from the first film didn't help this film at the box office. Still, the fact that Universal showed Brian engaged in illegal street racing added more to build his character's credibility. It was a smart move on Universal's part, in my opinion. You should buy the DVD if you haven't already. It's certainly worth a watch. That'll wrap it up for this episode. Please do not forget to subscribe to my channel for more great content.